that we're having on a much larger area. If I just went out from that area between Ford Road and Highway K, and considering how it's going to impact the residents of Boyceville, how it's going to impact even our neighbors in St. Croix County, or how it's going to impact the area where I now live, near Knapp, it is tremendous. It's going to affect the rail traffic, which has already increased from sand mining in Juneau, Monroe, and Jackson County. Train traffic has increased between 3 and 5-fold, and that's not counting the length of the trains, just in the number of trains. It's going to increase the train traffic pretty obviously, and the truck traffic on the return route, as I understand it's planned. But then it doesn't stop there. It's not just not in my backyard type of issue. If our forefathers hadn't thought about the global impact of issues, where would we be at? And the first thing that comes to mind is some of our wonderful national parks. I think, what if people hadn't set aside land like Yellowstone? Or some of the places that I enjoy hunting, fishing, hiking, birding, doing photographic work. If people hadn't thought ahead and set aside some of those wonderful places that we have in Wisconsin for everybody to use, if they hadn't thought globally, beyond their own backyard, if they hadn't thought about preserving, where would we be at? I just recently returned from Germany, where in the state of Mecklenburg, 80% of their resources, of their energy, is from renewable resources. Solar all over the place, wind all over the place. Okay, well, we need to come back here, and all we think about is oil and natural gas. We need to think a little bit more globally. We have to think outside the box, and we can do this. Even if it's a small little stone that we're throwing, we have to understand that we do have an impact on the bigger picture. And I encourage you to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This time I would ask Gene Traxler to join us. If there's anybody else that would like to address the committee, you're able to do that on any topic that you wish. I do ask that you
Hi, my name is Gene Traxler.
that you spend your comments to about 2 or 3 minutes, although I will allow that. Thank you.
I wasn't going to do this, but there have been so many negative ones. We should have some positive ones once in a while. I wrote a letter to the commission here. This is part of the letter. In regard to your upcoming recommendation concerning location of the Vista Sand train loading station, we would like to offer an opinion. As you may know, our Century Farm is located at a point on 330th Street where Pat and I can sit in our living room to observe and hear most of the activity associated with the sand loading procedure, trucks, train noise, and so on. The end result of this inconvenience will be the use of the local sand in the fracking process for the national production of petroleum products, diesel, gasoline, gas, and so forth. We all want to use these products, but we do not like to be bothered with any mess that accompanies this production. I think this is called not my backyard mentality. I disagree with our former speaker just a little bit on that. We believe this is the proper time to begin the process of not being forced to purchase Mideast oil and to use this new technology to develop our own natural resources. This new technology just come on in the last couple of years with the horizontal drilling. We are willing to undergo the inconvenience to our lives that the sand loading operation may involve. We also feel that the unanimous difficult decision that our local town board made should be given consideration. It was unanimously of our town board. We hope it is possible that your committee can send a positive recommendation to the Dunn County Board. There are now approximately 37 sand mines located in Wisconsin. I think there are more now. This business will continue to grow, and we progressive planning to have our township in Dunn County to become part of that growth. Good luck in making an informed decision on this important issue.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the committee? You may address the committee on any topic that you choose. This is time to, yes, sir. I would ask that you come forward, give us your name, your address, and keep your comments to 2 or 3 minutes, and I will allow for flexibility.
My name is Adrian Dickens. I live directly across from the proposed spur, 7072 330th Street. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. We purchased 80 acres out there with the intent to build, with the intent to retire. Nice, peaceful location. Had we known that this was even going to come about, never would have done it. I wonder how many people think that we're going to have a nice little single rail loading facility like the one in Wheeler. My wife and I came past New Auburn yesterday on the way back from Michigan. You folks don't know how many choo-choo trains you're looking at. You have no idea. The little sand piles, not going to happen. The sand piles up there make the Rockies look small. You guys, you don't know unless you've been to New Auburn. I urge you. We've got a trout stream that cuts right through our property. That's downstream in the ditches from this place. It's going to run down there. I can tell you right now, especially where the proposed holding pond is. Everything that we've got out there right now is on hold. Our electricity, everything. We've got a shed. We don't have any electricity out there. We were going to do that this year. That's all on hold until we figure out what's going to go on with this thing. As far as the land values go, I wish I could get what I paid for it. Because right now we're probably about a third. There's a lot of people upside down in their mortgages. There's a lot of people upside down in their property values. This is not going to help the situation, folks. It's just not going to help it. Those of us that struggled to stay alive during the economy crash, still plan on doing that. But I'm not for it. And as far as Gene, I'll disagree with you. I don't think
Excuse me, I'm going to ask that you not.
Okay.
You don't get personal.
Well, I'm not going to get personal, but the statement that this is going to help us get off foreign oil, folks don't believe it. I'd like to know how much of this oil that's being drilled is actually staying in the U.S. Nobody's told me. I don't know. What I've heard, it's all going overseas, getting exported. So Wisconsin resources going overseas, I guess, in a roundabout way. I guess that's all I got to say right now. Please think long and hard before making the decision. There's a lot of folks who are going to be impacted by this. It's not just a little choo-choo train. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the committee? At this time, anybody that would like to address the committee can do so on any topic that they would wish. And one last time, I'll ask if there's anybody that would enjoy speaking to us. Hearing none, I will close the public comment portion of this meeting with the caveat that in a couple of minutes I'll be opening another public comment period. So with that, there are no items requested by the chair this morning. We do have a public hearing on a rezone application from a Shirley Christofferson, and I will now call that hearing to order and request that our zoning administrator review the circumstances of the application. So, Bill?
Notice of public hearing in the state of Wisconsin, County of Dunn, to all whom it may concern. Public notice is hereby given to all residents in Dunn County that the Dunn County Planning, Resources, and Development Committee will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, September 11th in room 122 and 124 at the Dunn County Government Center, 800 Wilson Avenue, Wisconsin. The applicant, Shirley Christofferson, owner, E6590, County Road E, Ridgeland, Wisconsin, 54763, and Linda Villadu, 22nd Street, Chicago, Wisconsin, 54728, has made an application for a rezone from exclusive agriculture A1 to agriculture residential A3. Parcel is described as part of the southwest one quarter of the southwest one quarter, section 2, town 31 north, range 12 west, town of Wilson, Benton County, Wisconsin, and is approximately 2.21 acres. Parcel lies southwesterly of County Road and Lower Pine Creek. And I will attest that was published on August 26th and September 2nd. The Christoffersons and Linda Biladu came in, and they are seeking a rezone of the parcel. Find my mouse here. You see where I'm circling here. It's not this floating parcel here. It's not that one. It's the house right to the right of that. Right there is the building. They'd like to separate that parcel off from the rest of the farm for estate planning purposes. The town of Wilson has voted on it, and they are in support of the Christoffersons. The existing area around it is predominantly agriculture A1 with the usual agriculture activities around. By allowing this rezone to happen to A3, it would allow the separation of the two residences. There are two residences on the parcel there to be conducted on this site. Again, there are some areas south and west of this parcel that are zoned as E3. All of the utilities and so forth, roadworks and so forth are already in place, as this is our existing buildings and so forth. The proposed site does not demand any additional services such as utilities, fire protection, and so forth. They're already provided for in that area. And it does not appear that it will have any unreasonable effect on any irreplaceable natural areas. Again, the town of Wilson has voted in support of this rezone, and the DNR has sent a response in, and they have no comment on the rezone. There are no issues as far as they're concerned. So your options are to either approve this from A1 to A3, allowing the applicant to separate the two residences on the farm, or you can deny the request, leaving the area zoned as exclusive A1. And again, the only uses that would be allowed in that district would be those that were allowed to operate there. The two residents would not be able to be separated on parcels of less than 25 acres. I believe Mrs. Christofferson is here, as well as I believe Linda Biladu is here.
Mrs. Christofferson, would you like to address the committee?
Well, I guess you stated most everything that I have on my list here, that the only purpose we want is to separate the two houses, so that they're each on their own parcel, so. But you stated, the lady stated everything that they told me to report here. And on the 2.21 acres is the house, a detached garage, a small shed with a shop is what would come off of the 39 acres.
Is Agent Linda Biladu here?
Belado, she's a teacher at Colfax, she is not here.
She's not here, okay.
Mhm.
Therefore, would the committee have any questions of the staff or the petitioner? At this time, I do have a question. It's my understanding that the square within that triangle would become its own lot, if you will.
That already is an existing lot, it's kind of a floating parcel already there. The parcel that is being rezoned would be these buildings right here by a certified survey map. So that
Okay.
will be a new parcel surrounding these buildings here.
Is there, do I or the committee need to be concerned at all about driveway access? Is that taken care of?
On
Easements?
Yes, they've marked the driveway, so there's, so it's accessible to both places, yeah.
And the easements for those, that is in place?
that will be provided for on a certified survey map.
Yes, Supervisor Cleary?
You said in addition to the house and garage, there's another shed? included, that's the third piece right at the top there.
That's the shed right there. This is the house and the garage, and then that's the shed.
Okay, that'll be accessible from the easement.
Correct.
Is there any other questions? Okay, hearing none, the public would, is there anybody from the public that would like to speak in support of the proposal? Is there anybody that would like to speak in support of this rezone requested by Shirley Christofferson? Is there anybody that would care to speak and address any issues in support of this rezone? Hearing none? Okay. Is there anybody that would care to speak as an opponent to this process? Is there anybody that would like to speak to address the committee as an opponent of this rezone? The third time I'll ask, is there anybody that would like to speak against this proposal? Okay. And again, Mrs. Christofferson, if there's anything that you'd like to say, now would be the time.
No, I don't think I have any other comments.
Okay. And then the committee, with unanimous consent, how I'd like to proceed for the day is if you desire to vote on this, we can do so, with a motion and discussion, or we could postpone it to another date. That is up to this committee. If I would, okay, there's a motion to approve the rezone. Is there a second? Is there any discussion on this issue? Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, I will then ask Laura to call the roll.
Supervisor Clark?
Yes.
Supervisor Grant? Supervisor Cleary?
Yes.
Supervisor Bjork?
Yes.
Supervisor Walter?
Yes.
Motion's passed.
Thank you. It does pass. Thank you, staff. Congratulations, Mrs. Christofferson. I would then be proposing that this be brought to the full county board at its next meeting.
I was assuming that the motion found affirmatively 91.48, that all four of those conditions were met. Correct? Well, I thought that's what you were saying.
I would, yes. Okay. Now, we will go to the 7B, which is to discuss and take action on the Vista Sand rezone in the town of Unanimous. Where we are in that process is we did have a public hearing 2 weeks ago. The public spoke to that either for or against at that time. The committee then did ask that, I asked, the committee's behalf, that anybody with written comment take a week to submit their comments to the committee. That has been done. And the committee has had 1 week to review those written documentation. So at this point, I am going to allow the applicant to both summarize and close their case and maybe address any of the issues that may have come up. So with that, your name and address, please. Once the committee has any questions, if we have any questions of Mr. Sikes, then we will deal with those, and then I will ask the committee for either a motion to approve the rezone, or if somebody would like to make a motion to deny the rezone. If there is a second, then the committee as a whole can begin its discussion, followed by a vote. So,
Perfect. RJ Sikes, Vista Sand, Grand Prairie, Texas. Thank you guys again for having us, and I understand it's a very difficult decision moving forward. There's lots of ways with the property rights of the guy selling versus the neighbors, business moving forward. So I understand that, and again, I want to appreciate that kind of in summary, you know, we are asking to put in a rail facility, a boom track rail facility that will facilitate primarily moving sand, but could move other products at a later date. You know, if grain became bigger in the area, and that need to get out of the area, we'd be working with UP and or individuals here. You know, we're not asking to process, we're not asking to mine, we're strictly asking to put in a transit facility. There's a lot of excuse me, a lot of concern around jobs and whether it's going to be negative impact or positive impact. I can tell you in the last 3 weeks, we've received over 60 applications from individuals in the area looking for jobs, with a handful of those kind of outside the area, a couple in Minnesota and from around. You know, from the response that we've gotten, and we really haven't put anything out soliciting those applications. Those are individuals who've taken the initiative, called us, and then sent us resumes and or emails. You know, I think that this is the right time for this project, just to help the area. I think it brings a lot of value to a lot of different folks. You know, we have a developers agreement with the town of Unanimous. I think it addresses, I was able to read through the majority of the written comments. I believe it does address the majority of the issues raised in the public comment process, as far as safety, as far as air, water quality. We've even, in the developer's agreement, there's even a method to, if there are issues, how are those resolved, and we've agreed to resolve those in a very timely manner, make representatives available to work through those issues. So with that being said, you know, we do ask that we be approved during the transload facility moving forward, honoring the development agreement with the town of Menominee, and applying with all the restrictions of different government authorities that currently regulate this, such as DNR and everybody else. And if there's any questions, I'd love to take over.
At this time, are there any questions from the applicant? Supervisor Witt?
I'm wondering if there have been extensive discussions kind of we deal with this in a broader context. I'm wondering if you had direct discussions with elected officials in Downing, Morrisville, or Gap regarding facility and potential impact on the
We have not. We have not had great. We received a few letters, tried to respond to a few of those as they come in, but we have not directly had one-on-one conversation.
Any questions? Supervisor Witt?
your presentation.
This is the end. The only final comment I'd like to make, if I may, is, you know, we have worked very closely with UP and Union Pacific, and, you know, I believe they've sent in a letter in support of the project, but as well as, you know, they will work with us hand in hand to make sure that it is developed responsibly and that the operations are run safely. You know, so I just wanted to kind of mention that the UP is on board. I know there was some concern about whether we had much contact with them or where we're at in that process, but I can tell you that they are very, very closely watching the process and very interested in doing whatever they can to move the ball forward.
Okay. Any other questions? Supervisor Witt?
At the last hearing, we had a discussion about this issue of general economic, which is one of the issues that we considered. There was a discussion of taxes and a discussion of relatively de minimis benefits of property taxes from the site. But you made an argument that there were taxes paid for transportation of fuel, for example. You argued that, I'm sorry, I should turn this on. argued that, that there were significant fuel taxes paid. And I think we asked, but it was also pointed out that those were federal. And we asked if you could identify what direct taxes would be paid in the state of Wisconsin by your company for the use of the roads and the trucks and roads. I'm wondering if you were able to determine that.
We did pursue that a little bit. The answers we got was it's pretty difficult to determine exactly what that looks like. What they did tell us is the tax, the way they figured it, the tax on the diesel and CNG, LNG is very similar. If anything, they may get a little bit more on the CNG or LNG than they get on the diesel. However, they did, in all fairness, they did say that because, you know, CNG, because it is a gas, that you might actually need less CNG to get a little bit more miles. So it was kind of I think the jury's still out on that. I mean, it's pretty, I mean, there's several companies using it, but there's small amounts of fleets, you know, over the last 2 to 3 years. So I think the jury's still out on exactly how many miles to the gallon you're gonna average, or miles to the NFBTU you're gonna average, and things like that.
More to the point, do you have a sense of what the company would be paying to the state for the use directly with regard to the permits and the use of the truck? The money that actually stayed within the state.
Sure. You know, most of the taxes we'll pay to the state of Wisconsin will be through our federal tax, you know, through the gasoline tax, with the exception of some of the property tax that we'll agree to pay. Again, it goes back to, you know, the property tax for the town, and I would assume it's the same for the county, is set at a basis to where even though we come in and build a nice facility and that technically would increase the tax base, all it really does is lower everybody else's tax base. I guess there's some rules. And again, I'm not a tax expert, but from what I understand, so it really doesn't raise your tax base, all it does is lower the burden of taxes paid on other residents of the county.
Any other questions? Questions? Okay, thank you. And at this point, the chair would enjoy a motion to either approve this facility or to deny. Excuse me, Council.
Mr. Chair, just wanted to bring up that, because this is a small group of body, it's not necessary that we have a motion before we begin discussion on the action. So the committee has the option of entering into discussion before, without a motion.
Oh, okay, then why don't we do that?
Mr. Chair. I might also say, Union Pacific did send a letter in question. Would you like that?
Would you please? What is being distributed currently to the committee is a letter by the Union Pacific Railroad, and I've not read it yet, so I'm assuming that it is in support of the facility. And it is. It's a letter of support. Okay, members? Have you made a decision? Mr. Chairman? Mr. President?
Well, this is one of those areas
tension between private ownership and public policy. It does it in a very keen way. We apparently have some people that want to sell their real estate, and we apparently have some people that want to use the real estate for a purpose that is not currently permitted in the public policy of Dunn County. We need to address it. I read all of the letters, and golly, this county has taken a very active role in discussing this particular issue. Almost 90%, more than 90% are opposed. However, most of those are opposed on a basis that I can't agree with. Look, folks, if you live on a highway, you're going to have traffic. If you live next to a railroad, you're going to have rail cars going by. And there's no guarantee when you purchase property on a highway that the traffic's going to remain the same. There is no guarantee when you live on a railroad corridor that the train traffic's going to remain the same. So those of us who don't like the idea of more traffic, move. Those of us that don't like the trail corridor, move. And I'm sorry to say that, but that's the way our country works. I have no problem with that conceptually. I would have a big problem with that if I lived there. I don't. But conceptually, I have no problem. I rather suspect that if we don't approve this, that someplace along the rail corridor is going to be a transload facility. If Dunn County happens to be in the path from that transload facility and the mine or the source of the sand, we're going to have the traffic, and we can't do anything about it. Federal highways, state highways are open for use, period. And we can't do anything about it. So, when I first started thinking about this application, I thought about it in terms of highway traffic. Well, my thinking, I believe, was misplaced. Even though Vista has told us that they want to move about 1 million tons of sand. And I did some math, and if they did that, and they did it over the course of a year, 365 days, a truck every 12 minutes would be required. If it's 275 days, 3/4 of a year, a truck every 9 or 9.5 minutes would be required. Based on what we heard the other day, that's not going to happen. It's going to be less than 3/4 of a year, so there's going to be a lot of truck traffic. But like I say, I'm not sure that's the relevant issue. I think the relevant issue that I'm concerned about are those things that are within the control of Dunn County. And that is represented in our comprehensive plan. We have talked in the plan about noise, we've talked in the plan about dust, we've talked about water, we've talked about compatibility with the area, and most importantly, we've talked about productive farming. And our plan has been based on those plans that have percolated from local units of government. I wasn't part of that process, but it's pretty clear if you read the document. That's how it all came about. And each of those plans for local units talked about in one way or the other the issue of quality of life. Now, our law, state law, requires that we make a finding that if we rezone, the action must be consistent with our comprehensive plan. It's very clear. That was done for a purpose. And the reason it was done is historically, units of government throughout the nation have had a comprehensive plan, and all of a sudden, an ice cream cone comes along and we change the plan because we like to eat ice cream. Or what I call those rifle shots. And that's what has happened. But the state of Wisconsin had the foresight to say, wait a minute, if you're going to go through this extensive planning process, which we did, units of government this county did, pay attention to it. Don't just jump at the next ice cream building that comes by. And I think that's what we have to pay attention to today. I think we have to recognize what the county board did. I don't remember the year, 2008, I believe maybe, or 2007, 2006, when this plan was adopted. The board in its resolution said, it has a desire to reduce dependence on fossil fuels and extracted underground metals and minerals. That's in the resolution of the Dunn County Board. As I recall, we're part of the Dunn County Board. And I think we have an obligation to recognize what our governing body said several years ago in its adoption of the plan. It said, we recognize that the local community visions are diverse, but each consistently touches on, quote, the quality of life. We also recognize that farmland preservation, water within 300 feet of industrial or of streams that would have intensive development should be protected. We have a stream within 300 feet of this proposed site. We have farmland on which this site is proposed to be. And I don't think anybody could make the case that a transload facility would not be intensive. I believe it would be, and I believe it must be. So, for what it's worth and what I said, and I'm sorry I took up so much time, Mr. Chairman, I come down on the side that I cannot support this request, period. It is not consistent with our plan. It is not consistent with our planning process. And if we as a county and if the local units of government, as local units of government want to change our plan, let's go through the process. Let's not grab at the first ice cream cone that comes along, or even the second. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Supervisor. Anybody else care to address the issue? Supervisor Bjork?
It's always been my impression
Scott, do you want to, if we remind, I forget to remind members to use this, but I think we should.
It's always been my impression that zoning was supposed to keep conflicting land uses separated. But here, we're being asked to do just the opposite, to bring those two in. And then also, sacrificing some prime Dunn County ag land for an industry that will destroy some of our landscape, I don't think is in the best interest for the future of Dunn County. So that's why I also cannot support this resolution in this process.
Yes. Supervisor Cleary?
Since I'm new to this committee and new to the board, I've written out my reflections. First, I must commend the town of Menominee officials for the work and the dedication that they put into the difficult decision they made on the petition of Vista Sand to rezone an estimated 168-acre parcel within the town of Menominee. Within the scope of their responsibility, they've considered the desires of both petitioner Vista and the owners in agreement who are adjacent to the facility. However, in my opinion, the impact of Vista's petition is a broad shadow cast over the near 40-mile path traveled by heavy truck traffic. That is, the rezoning of this property to industrial has a county-wide shadow. The broader county responsibility is governed by the rezone standards embodied in Wisconsin Statute 59.69, paragraph 1, and the standards contained in section 1.8 of the Dunn County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance. It is to those standards that I appeal in making my decision. The relevant standards that flow from the Wisconsin statute include the protection of public health, safety, convenience, and general welfare, and also the requirement to protect property values and the property tax base, in addition to providing, quote, healthy surroundings for family life. Dunn County zoning standards mirror the state zoning standards speaks to our responsibility as a committee to, quote, promote the public health, safety, comfort, convenience, and general welfare of county citizens, and to, quote, conserve economic stability and to preserve property values. What the petitioners have focused on is a very small piece of the region they will impact. However, this is not a simple rezone of only 168 or so acres. The purposes and uses of the rezone cast a broad shadow, one that touches communities and residents along nearly 40 miles of roads, traveled in addition to the 168 acres, which potentially more, depending upon Vista's future business development. I speak here of the externalities of the entire footprint Vista is proposing with this rezone. I speak of the negative impacts to the public welfare and to the property values that we are responsible for preserving. Those externalities, spillover costs, will, in my opinion, harm property values, endanger public health and safety, and erode economic stability of the region if this rezone is granted. I am required to vote no on the request of the Vista Sand rail rezone, the Sand spur rezone.
Anybody else? Supervisor Quinn?
Just a couple of thoughts. I want to thank my fellow committee members for the points I also share. And just so I think that I would add to that my concern about with regard to provisions that require us to comprehensive plan to require us to address as Supervisor Cleary pointed out, the general welfare and economic benefits of the project. The applicant has made a fairly narrow case for economic benefits that rely primarily on income and jobs. And I think also to its credit, I believe that the town board has done a very good job of sort of taking that analysis, that projection, and sort of securing some benefit of control within their own purview, unable to so the impact fee for the per ton fee that they've established in the developers agreement is one way towards that. It seems to me that may be appropriate for the town, although I question whether the rate that they established, which my calculations show would be well under 10 cents a ton over the course of the mine. When the applicant has indicated their overall expenses are over $25 a ton. But in general, it feels to me like a project of this nature, or a rezone of this nature, needs to meet a higher standard of larger economic benefits to the community, and balances both the positive and the negative impacts of this. And I don't think that the applicant made that case. I think we need to do further study to make that case. And I think some efforts are underway to do that, but in this particular case, I don't think that's something. So I will also not support this.
Thank you. I go back to the idea that the citizens of town went through quite a process. They looked and they examined the history of their township. They determined what it looked like today. They then decided deliberately what they would like that township to look like in the future. It clearly came down on the side of rural, a rural landscape they wanted. It's my understanding that they went through quite a process of coming to that conclusion. They had many committee meetings, various committees met. I understand, believe that they surveyed their residents and they developed their plan. Now, a few short years later, should this body recommend that that plan be, or those goals be changed? I don't think so. I believe that it would take more deliberate work at the grassroots level to then convince me to vote in support of this type of program or project. I do believe that Vista Sand is a quality company. I know that it's not all great to sound very reassuring to you, but I do think that you did propose and present an operation that I think was of quality, and that in many cases you did listen to local units of government and people. But at the same time, I never heard in your presentations a good justification for moving this from ag to industrial. That if this body, followed by the county board, were to approve that rezone, that land would then be zoned industrial, and anything can be done to that. Meaning, if Vista Sands, for whatever reason, decided not to pursue the transload, it would still be industrial, and that would be clearly, in my opinion, the spot zoning. A small factor, not a huge one, in my mind, was the basic premise of the project was based on the siting of a particular sand mine in a particular location. And that application has been withdrawn. There's no guarantee to the committee that it would be cited in St. Croix County in the future. Some other concerns that I've had, they're not huge, but it does go back to the economic impact. It's my understanding from viewing Vista's proposal here, there would be 13 jobs cited in Dunn County. There would be some truck driving jobs. I believe the state about 40. Well, I don't believe that the facility itself may have a value of $12 million, but I really don't think that the property value, the assessed value, that'll come benefit to both the local, the county, and the school districts, the technical school districts in the area, would be all that great. I believe actually a number of residential properties quickly surpass this proposal. And finally, this county does have a sales tax. We get 1.5% on the value of items sold in this county. Well, I'm not certain about St. Croix County, but they certainly would benefit from a refueling station. So with that, I will be voting against this proposal. So, committee members have any other comments, questions? Hearing none, I'll ask Laura to.
We need a motion.
We
need a motion.
Would be a good idea to have
Suggest
that.
the reason you give us for the motion.
Did you say with reasons?
Yes, that would be my recommendation.
I did a whole bunch of them, Mr. Chairman. I would move that we deny the request.
Recommend denial.
Recommend denial. That the basis of the motion would be, first and foremost, that it is not consistent as required by law with the comprehensive plan. Secondly, that its economic impact would not be sufficiently positive to offset the costs to a variety of local governments in Dunn County. I'm asking if anybody else had some other, I mean, we could make this motion about 7 paragraphs. miss any important one?
Possible spot zone.
The possibility that this would be interpreted as either spot or contractual zoning.
Anything else?
Would you want to speak to public health safety committees involved?
That this proposal would not be in the best interest of public health, safety, and welfare.
Anything else? Comments?
Property tax question, evaluation.
I was, in my mind, I was thinking that would be the cost benefit issue, but if you want to.
No, that's good, that's fine, you can consider that.
Anything else? Okay, then Laura, you want to? Second. This motion? Laura, would you please read back the motion?
Motion has been made to forward a recommendation of denial to the county board for the proposed Vista Sand rezone from ag residential to industrial. Chairperson Clark?
Council, we need to also have the motion include the justifications.
Well, maybe I can repeat what I think, because I'll probably be drafting the resolution. For the following reasons. The proposal is not consistent with the comprehensive plan. The proposal's economic impact would not be sufficient to offset the increased cost to municipalities. The proposal would constitute illegal spot zoning and/or may possibly be viewed as illegal spot zoning or contractual zoning. That the proposal is not in the best interest of the public's health, safety, and welfare.
And a yes vote is to deny. Please call the roll.
Chairperson Clark?
Yes.
Supervisor Ken?
Yes.
Supervisor Cleary?
Yes.
Supervisor Bjork?
Yes.
Supervisor Walter?
Yes.
Motion is passed.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your work and your efforts. Process now is this recommendation will be forwarded to the board's advisors. Chair, for scheduling and for call for